Okay, in this video we are going to be talking about the y-intercept. We are going to look at the y-intercept on a graph, in an equation, and also in a table. This should be pretty quick, okay? The y-intercept is where your line or your curve touches the y-axis. So if you remember that every graph has an x-axis and a y-axis. So we want to know, where does our line or curve touch this axis? And that's it. And your answer is going to be a number or an ordered pair if we're looking at our actual graph. So let's look at our table really quick. If we had a point on the y-axis, our x value would have to be 0. So if we look at our table and we find the x value of 0, this is a y-intercept. Anywhere that your x value is 0, because that means that it is not going left or right, it is only going up or down, it's going to be on the y-axis. So if we were to graph these points, so -1, 4, that's that one, check. 0, 9, check. 1, 14 is going to be about up here. Okay, and if we were to connect all of those, we would get a nice line-ish, since I kind of had to make them fit. And this one you see is touching the y-axis. Okay, so our y-intercept is 0, 9. Frequently, you'll see the y-intercept as the letter B, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So we could say that B equals 9. All right, so if we were to look at these, let's try. Here's my y-axis. Here is my line. They touch right here. So what is that? So we start at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is at y equals 6. Okay? So we would say that 0, 6 is our y-intercept, or we could say that B equals 6. All right, so here, down here, we're going to go ahead and write 0, 6 as our answer. All right, you try. But seriously, you should try it. All right, here's our line. This is our y-axis. They meet right here. So if this is 0, it's -1, -2, -3, -4. This is at -4. So our y-intercept is 0, -4. All right, this last one. Here we go. Here's our y-axis. Here's our line. They touch right here, and it's already marked for us at -5. Pretty good with that one. That one's the easy one. So if we're going to look at the y-intercept from an equation, the best way is if we're in slope-intercept form, because slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And remember, we just said that b, right, is our y-intercept. So if you have an equation written this way, you already know the y-intercept. You can see it with your eyeballs. You don't even have to do anything. So if we look here, y equals mx plus b. Well, what's in the b position? Yeah, 7. 7 is in the b position. So right here, we know already that our y-intercept is 7. 0, 7. Ta-da! And you're like, Miss, what about the 2? Yeah, the 2 is the m, which is slope, and we're going to talk about that in another video. So what happens if you're not in y-intercept form? Maybe you're in standard form or some other form. This is where we have to do a little math, and we want to get y by itself. We're going to solve for y. So the first thing we want to do, let me zoom in just a little bit. There we go. The first thing we want to do is we're going to move the x term to the other side. So this is a positive 2x, so we are going to subtract 2x. Remember what you do on one side? I have to do it on the other side. And notice I also did not say minus 2, I said minus 2x. That's really important because 14 and negative 2x are not like terms. So I cannot put them together and make them 12x. That's not a thing. So I just write them separately. Now I wrote them in this order because in slope-intercept form, my x term comes right after the equal sign. And so I want my x term right after the equal sign. You do not have to write it this way. It just makes things a little bit easier. The next thing you would do is divide by 7 so that y would be by itself. Remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side as well. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So those cancel, and I'm left with 1y. Negative 2 divided by 7, that does not reduce, so I just have negative 2 over 7. And then positive 14 divided by 7 is positive 2. Okay, now I'm in the correct form. Y equals mx plus b. And I can easily identify my b value as 2. So I know that my y-intercept is 0, 2. Not too bad, huh? We might have to practice that one a little bit. Here's a couple. Here we go. Ready? All right, I'm going to do a few of these with you, and then you're going to do a few, and you're going to get those checked by your teacher, okay? So on this one that you try, you do this on your own, and you get checked by your teacher, okay? Or whatever format your teacher has. Maybe there's a key that you go look at or whatever, but this is where you kind of need to check and make sure you know how to do things. But we have 2 more examples before I set you loose. All right, so this one looks really close. Remember, we're trying to get into y equals mx plus b. And this is super close. There's a y, there's an equal sign, a number, and then an x, and then a number by itself. The only problem is this 6 is still over here, and we need it to not be here. So what might we do to get rid of that 6? Well, right now it says 6 times y. So we're going to divide by 6. Remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So we have 1y. 4 divided by 6 is not going to be a whole number, but it will reduce. It will reduce to 2/3. All right, and negative 21 over 6. Again, that's not going to give me a whole number, but it should reduce. I should be able to divide by 3. So I'm going to have 7 over 2, because 7 times 3 is 21, and 2 times 3 is 6. So on this one, I divided by 3 to reduce. Okay? So it's not as pretty as our other ones, but I can still find my b value. And in this case, my b value is negative. So I'd have 0, negative 7/2. Some of you might be inclined to turn that into a decimal. That's okay. You do not have to. You're allowed to leave it just like that as a fraction. Okay, there's one more here we're going to do together. Okay. So what do you notice? I notice that there's an x over here by itself, but the y is over here. But I need the y to be by itself. So there's a couple things you could do. Some people might move the 5y over here and then move the 6x over here, right? And then kind of finish up your problem. I'm going to try and do what's most efficient, which means I could write this same equation backwards, right? I can have mx plus b equals y. It's okay to have the y on this side. It won't hurt me at all. I can just go bloop. Okay, so I'm going to try and save me some steps. And instead of moving the 5y over to the left, I'm just going to leave it. And instead, I'm going to move the 14. So I'm going to subtract the 14 because it currently says plus 14. And I'm going to do the opposite of that. So positive 14, negative 14, they cancel to 0. So I have 5y equals. Remember, these are not like terms, so I'm just going to have 6x minus 14. And then now all I have to do is get the 5 away from the y, by using division. So I'm going to divide by 5 all the way through. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I have 1y. 14 divided by 5, that's not pretty. It also doesn't reduce, so I just hold on to it. That's okay. 6 divided by 5 also does not reduce, and it's also not going to give me a whole number, so we just leave it like that. So no, it's not as pretty as it used to be with all our nice pretty whole numbers, but I could take this and I could rewrite it. I could say y equals, this is my mx. I know it because it's a number and an x, so I have 6/5 x plus, or in this case, minus b. Cool. And now I know my b value is right here. So 0, -14/5. Okay, and you're going to have situations like that where your answers are not whole numbers, and that is okay. It's okay. All right, so when the video's over, you're going to go try these on your own. Okay, these 6 problems. Ta-da! All right, last thing we're going to do on the video really quick is to go over this table situation again. Remember, our y-intercept is 0, a number. Anytime you find that, that is your y-intercept. So I'm looking and I'm looking. I see 2 zeros, okay? But I need the 0 to be in the x position. So it's not this one. It's this one. 0, 4. Right? Here, this table, again, I need 0, a number. This is my x, and that's my y. So I have to find a 0 in the x column. Notice there's a 0 over here. It's not that one. It's got to be this one. Sometimes people think, oh, y-intercept. I need the 0 to be in the y. No, it's the opposite of that. Again here, when you have an ordered pair, x, y, I need a 0 in the x column. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. There's 2 sets here. I want this one. Alrighty? Okay, so make sure that you go do these 6 practice problems on your own. Make sure that you know how to do it. If you do not know how to do it, ask a question, okay, so that we can help you and you can move on and level up.